But she said since COVID started, she hasn't seen anything under 700 now get refinanced. Hey guys, Sean Bloomquist, Pine Financial Group, where we work together so you succeed. If you're checking us out on YouTube, hit subscribe, notify, be sure to chat with us. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, and keep an eye out for videos every Friday. Today, I want to talk to you about a strategy that many of you have probably heard of, maybe a lot of you are doing right now, and that's the Brrrr strategy, the buy, rehab, rent, refinance, repeat. What I wanted to talk to you today is a couple things on when you're refinancing it to be aware of, because it's not as simple as just getting a loan or buying it for cash and going to your regular bank and getting a refinance done. You actually have to be aware of a few things. The first thing I want you to be aware of is when you buy it, you have to make sure that if you're getting a loan, if you're not buying it with your own cash, that you write it up as a loan or a finance property, whether it's a hard money lender or a private lender or anything like that. Anything other than your own personal cash, you want to make sure you write it up as a financed offer. And the reason for that is because your lender, when they go to refinance, they're only going to be able to refinance the loan value, not any extra on top of that, unless you hold the property for at least 6 months. So if you're going to hold the property for 6 months in whatever that loan is and then refinance out, then you could pull that extra cash back out of that equity out that you've got into it. But if you're going to refinance it prior to that, and we know a lot of people that use us to buy investment properties for rentals, they use us to acquire it and fix it and then refinance out as soon as possible. They don't want to hold it for 6 months in our loan. They want to refinance as soon as possible. And if they didn't have it written up correctly, the lender wouldn't be able to refinance them out until they had held it for at least 6 months. So we've had people refinance it in as quick as 45 days, which is great. Get in, fix it, refinance it out, get it rented, and start cash flowing. So you want to make sure you write it up correctly, because you're going to run into a challenge for the refinance if it's written up as a cash offer or a cash purchase. Another thing you want to be aware of, and this is a change that Fannie Mae made early in the year before COVID or anything like that. This was right around the start of the year. They said if you don't have a mortgage payment or a rental payment, something showing that you own a property or are paying to live at a property, they can't use the subject property's rent towards your debt to income ratio. So what I mean by that is if you're living with a significant other, maybe a boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever else, and you don't have a rent payment or a mortgage payment, you don't show an ownership in a property of any type or payment to live at a property for any type, they can't use that rent towards your debt to income. So you want to make sure that if you're going to need to use that subject property's rent towards your debt to income, that you are showing a mortgage payment or a rental payment or something like that. It's essentially so that you aren't using the subject property to move into. So that's why they say you can't use the subject property debt to income if you don't show that you're actually paying to live somewhere. Okay. The next couple things I want to bring up are actually COVID related, or have happened since COVID started, the whole pandemic and everything else. And the first one I want to bring up is credit score, a lender that we've worked with many times for the refinance out of our loans for people to hold rental property. I just talked to her today. She said that typically prior to COVID, it was 660 and above to get a refinance done. And sometimes you could be under 660, still be able to get a refinance done if you had a lot of assets or a lot of reserves, things like that. Something to show that you were a little more of a strong borrower versus just the credit score itself. But she said since COVID started, she hasn't seen anything under 700 now get refinanced. So you want to make sure that if you're going to be doing the strategy, you've got your credit in order and you don't have any derogatory things on there. They're going to make it tough for you to get refinanced, because if you aren't able to get refinanced, then you don't have the strategy in place. So just be aware that the credit scores are coming up a little bit, and they also want to see that you have some credit history, not just one or two accounts that you've only had for a little while. They want to see that you've got some credit history showing payments and everything else in good standing that way. And the last one I wanted to bring up, this could affect a lot of people, maybe not as much for the full-time investor or anything like that, but people that do investing on the side and still have a W-2 income or something like that. If you were laid off because of COVID or anything like that, the lender won't be able to use your unemployment or your stimulus money towards your income, okay? So if you were laid off for a chunk of time and now you're back to working or something like that, that whole time you were laid off, anything you brought in from unemployment or stimulus or that extra, $600 a week that they were giving, none of that is going to be counted towards your income. They're going to take an aggregate of your last 12 months and they'll average it out with that being a zero essentially during that time period. So that can have a significant impact on your income. And you want to make sure that if that is something that happened to you, you want to bring that up to your lender and make sure that they're aware of it so that there's a workaround for it and you don't run into an issue when you go to try and refinance it. Hopefully these tips help you out. If you have more questions about the Brrrr strategy, we're always happy to help. We love doing this strategy with our clients. We even do it ourselves. And if you have any questions on that, or if you need referrals for refinance lenders, please reach out to us. We have many lenders that we work with that they know exactly how to get this done, and they love working with investors. Keep an eye out every Friday for our new videos coming out. You can always jump on to our Wednesday Lunch and Learn if you want to be involved in some of our classes. We do that online with Zoom calls as well. If you have any questions, reach out to us at pinefinancialgroup.com. Thanks.